Hello, good evening, and welcome. What a day. I was at work earlier, and typically I was at work when the good news was announced about Barry Bannan. Excuse me. Fantastic news, unbelievable. I'd convinced myself that he was going. I think we probably all had, haven't we? I mean, been here 10 years, club in an absolute shit show of a situation. And he's signed on again. I said earlier, I did a video earlier. If you've not seen it already, why haven't you seen it? What have you been doing? Watching the cricket, perhaps? But I said in that video earlier, it must be a heart over head decision. It's got to be a heart over head decision. Because if you look at it from a practical point of view, you look at it from a financial point of view, everything in your head would be screaming, no, do not sign up here at this shit show. So it's got to be heart over head. Oh, what's that here? What have I done? It's got to be a heart over head situation. He looked quite emotional in his interview. Obviously, he talked about the emotion of his family and his kids getting upset about the thought of leaving. But I did have a thought this afternoon. I got home and I thought, he's signed on. He loves Wednesday. He's been here 10 years. He's given his all for the cause. And then I thought to myself, his agent must be screwing now. Do you know what I mean? Barry's probably gone to bed, happy, signed on, knows what he's doing, ready to focus on the season. And his agent must have been, okay, you're 35 years old. You've probably got one more move in you for a guaranteed wage and your last chance to get a lump signing on fee. And you're throwing it away to stay here. His agent must be screwing. How many? I've got 6 viewers. I should start... I should start advertising these, shouldn't I? But what I tend to do, I can't help myself. I just do it when I can't sleep. Anyway, what do you think about Barry Bannan? I fail to think that there's anybody out there who's not absolutely delighted about this decision. Other news this week, obviously, Henrik Pedersen confirmed as manager. We knew that was going to happen. Like I said, one of the worst kept secrets in football. Strong words from Henrik as well, being positive about it, talking about Wednesday being in troubled waters and how him with his Viking heritage, he'll get us through that and get us to the calm on the other side. And talking about the calm on the other side, that's raised a few little things for me as well. Oh, what have I done here? Do you know I am a cack-handed bastard? He talked about the calm coming. Barry Bannan put a Twitter post out yesterday, an Instagram post about getting through the other side of things as well. And he, as a football supporter, especially as a Sheffield Wednesday supporter, very easy to be negative because there's been so much to be negative about. But when they're saying things like that, you don't know if it's just sort of vague rallying calls or whether they know something. Whether they know that there might be something coming through. Maybe there is a little bit of sunshine, sort of glinting through the clouds. So yeah, excellent news today with Barry Bannan. Good news about Henrik Pedersen, but of course he's going to have to get some staff in as well. And so far he's only got, I think, Giles Coke, Oldsworth. I think he's in charge of the under-21s. I'll have to check on that. So they've not got a massive coaching staff. There is talk, and I do wonder if perhaps Barry Bannan, maybe that's part of the deal that he's going to play. And there isn't a limit, as far as I know, with the AFL embargo on staff wages. So perhaps his wage could be made up partly as a player, partly as a coach. And I think he said that's something that he wants to move into. Let's have a look. We've got a couple of comments here. Kill 'em all, Batesy. That's a right nickname, isn't it? How's it going? Very good. Barry Bannan staying the only glimmer of hope It is a glimmer of light, and he is a legend. It's hard to believe that there's been times in recent years when some people have said, "Oh, I think Barry Bannan's done it now." But still one of our best players last season. I think a problem that Barry Bannan's had, which a lot of players have had at Hillsborough over the years, is when you set such a high bar, as soon as you have a 6 or 7 out of 10 game, everyone's like, "Oh, that's it, it's done." Because the bar's been set so high previously. Whereas if you're one of them players who's just, always a 5 or 6 out of 10, and occasionally you're chucking an 8, everyone's like, "Oh, brilliant." You know what I mean? Russell Howe, if Barry and the Vikings sign, surely something's happening. That's what I mean. As a fan, you go from ultra negative to ultra positive. Barely any sort of room in the middle there, is they were always one end at scale to other. And they have been talking positively, the pair of them. And you do wonder, excuse me, if there is something in the background. Although I don't know if you saw the live stream that Wednesday Till I Die did with the Trust the other night. They were saying at the moment it don't look like there's any official bidders for the club. I mean, of course, we're not privy to everything. If people are signing NDAs, we might not find out if there's any bids for the club. I'd like to hope there is. But then I saw something on TalkSport the other day. It was correspondent from, I don't know if it was a Telegraph, one of those. And he said he'd heard that Chancery had upped his price and he now wanted 100 million. So we've no idea what's true and what's false, but we've just got to cling to that hope, haven't we? Stephen Topham, evening, Jim. Bannan news made my day. Don't question the wisdom of it. I know. I think it's made everybody's day. But you really do have to question the wisdom of it. As I said a couple of minutes ago, his agent must be tearing his hair out. Apparently, he's got 2 or 3 offers on the table. Was it Middlesbrough, Millwall? And there's another one who I can't quite remember. Last chance for a payday, 35. I know players these days last longer. They're better conditioned than in old days when people at 30 and just went, He's still got some years in the tank, but his agent will be looking at it because he has to look after his best interests. He'll be saying, "Barry, probably a better wage at somewhere like Middlesbrough, well-structured club, and a lump signing on fee. What the fucking hell do you want to stay here for?" But as I said, heart rules head sometimes. Can you hear me all right as well? Because I've not checked anything before I set off. Magic Mole, I nearly said Malcolm then. Magic Mole 98. Genuinely, in your opinion, where do you honestly see this whole saga Chancery ending? Was a Phoenix club. I've said this before. I said it in a video the other year. I think it was the one when he was. Do you remember when he was making the threats? You paid tax bill, and saying Sheffield Wednesday weren't a very big club and all that nonsense. But that's always stuck in my head for the simple fact Wednesday are a big club. When I talk about a big club, I'm not about the stadium or even particularly the history. I'm about the fan base. Sheffield Wednesday's got a massive fan base. And if we go into administration, that fan base will still be there. Somebody will pick us up for a quid. We'll be rebranded as the Wednesday 2026 or whatever it is. That fan base will still be there. But even if we went to the very worst, and we went to liquidation and somebody had to start up a Phoenix club, we'd still have the crowds. Even if we had to start in conference and hire a ground, or shared a ground somewhere, there would be thousands trying to get in. There will always be a Wednesday. I'd love a Chef Cam versus Chancery live stream showdown. It'd be too funny though, wouldn't it? It would be too funny. I know you shouldn't, but I did see that Team America thing the other day. I saw a clip of that came up on my Facebook Reels, and I just thought it reminds me of somebody, that dictator. Yeah, I won't mind a chat with him now. I'd offer him a fag, I'm not nasty. Will Bannan have taken a pay cut to stay with us, says George. Well, I'd imagine he would have had to, because under this embargo situation, there is a limit on what we can offer players. I think I'm right in saying, I'm sure you correct me if I'm wrong, that we can only offer a 1 year's deal to players. And maybe that's something Bannan's looked at. Maybe he's thought, 1-year contract at the end of next season, maybe something will come along then, maybe, and then I can renegotiate. Perhaps he's had a deal structured in such a way that he gets a certain wage as a player, and perhaps he's going to do some coaching and they can lift the wage up that way. And perhaps, and I think this is a strong possibility, he signed this contract and perhaps got some sort of clause in there that if there is a takeover, then the deal can be renegotiated at whatever stage of the season that might be. Perhaps that's something that I should be an agent, me. I've got some right fucking ideas, haven't I? You know what I mean? Oh, bleeding hell. Audio good. Cheers, Paul. Like I said, I set up. I didn't check anything. I never check anything. I'm a bit of a, The Bannan news has genuinely confused me. What the fuck? Great news. It's confused me. And I got up this morning. I'm getting a few bits and bats ready because I was working today, and I got a message early doors saying, "Oh, it's going to go one or two ways with Bannan," and I was like, "Oh, because I'd convinced myself he was going." And then maybe within 40 minutes of that, I'd got 3 or 4 messages saying, "Oh, it's going to be announced. He's staying." And when you check in day, it's not April 1st, is it? Because I genuinely couldn't see it. I mean, I'm absolutely delighted with it. One of the things I'm most pleased about is for them young lads, and I know they're not going to play all the time. I know we've still got 15 first-team pros, so the kids are largely going to make up the bench, but they're going to be getting a lot of minutes. They're going to have to. With conditioning these days and the games coming thick and fast. I mean, the players these days, they're like finely tuned, aren't they? When I first started watching, you'd got the odd fat player, Mickey Quinn, who played for Newcastle and Coventry, and Jan Mulby would hardly, And I don't know, I think that little bit of fat on them did them good. Now they're so sinewy and finely tuned. And I always make the analogy that a modern footballer is like a Formula One car. Everything's up to spec, and the tension in it, in every detail on it. They seem to break down more than my car, do you know what I mean? Which is 18 years old. My car's older than my kids, So things like that. So these kids, get back to my point, these kids are going to have to play games in there. But Barry Bannan staying will be able to lead them through it. And we're going to get spanked games. Don't worry about that. We're going to get spanked games. But you've got to worry about young kids coming into the team and what it's going to do up here. Because there will be some spankings, and it'll be something they've not experienced before, especially in front of a big crowd. And old heads in there to lead them through and say, "Come on, son, we can do this," Delighted. Great news. Let's get some more. Dean Campbell. Hi, Jim. I do suspect Barry knows something we don't, given some of the comments on turning down other interested clubs. It's hard not to think there's something in it. But we have got to be sort of wary, and I think that there might be the possibility, as I've said earlier, that it is just his heart ruling his head. I put it this way. If we'd signed Barry Bannan last year and his contract was up now, would he stay? I don't think he probably does. I think because he's been here 10 years, and as I said, I've done 2 videos this week. Go and watch them, go and like them, share them, all that business. And I said in them, he's been here that long, all the staff behind the scenes, and he's alluded it to himself today in his interview. He feels like he owes them something. They've been there that long, and they are the team. We always talk about the team on the pitch, the 1 to 11. But the team is everybody in it. The team are the people who work in the canteen. The team is the cleaners. The team are the ground staff. The team are the people who open up the changing rooms in the morning. That's the team. And when you've been here 10 years like he is, that's the family, And I think that's probably played a big part in him staying. Rich 5890 had a good tip off Bannan, was desperate to stay, but wasn't it's been confirmed. Stay. I said that right. Leeds, didn't I? I don't know why. Hopefully, it's to start things turning around. Focus remains on getting shut to the idiot at the top. I know. I don't know. There's some sort of protest planned, didn't they? Is it whistles? Is that at Leicester or Stoke? But they're planning everyone's going to take a referee's whistle, and We'll see what happens with that. We do still need to keep that up, though, and make the message perfectly clear. Name the time and place, and I'll do a podcast with you. I would actually love it. I would actually love it. Slappy Gilmore, evening Slappy. Shout out to all the night owls. Hope you're well. I am well. Like I said, the news at Bannan's staying, it's probably cheered me up more than it would, because we're still going to have an incredibly hard season. And don't forget, I know you've probably tried to, but don't forget, I think there's... Oh, I'd left oven on. I wondered what that was. There's still the massive possibility that we're going to get a points deduction coming in as well. So always that to think about. Stuart Rucker, Bannan now up there with the 90s lads, but even better, probably the greatest club legend now. Certainly in the modern era. I mean, what is a legend? How do you define a legend? There's me putting a question out too. How do you define a legend? I think longevity's got to be one thing, the appearances, and I think attitude as well. I know there was a big debate when they were having that mural done of the legends, and some people said Lee Bullen made the list, and I can remember at the time some people being a bit disparaging and saying, well, he only played for us when we were in third division. But it's more than that, isn't it? I mean, Lee Bullen came in, and we were lower down. Didn't cost us bugger all. Every single position on Park. Centre forward, left wing, right wing, centre midfield, left back, right back, centre half, and played it net. And then went on to coach. So I think Lee Bullen certainly is a legend. But like I said, it's what you use as the parameters for a legend. Some people say Roland Nielsen was a legend and a brilliant player, best right back I've ever seen. But it was Wednesday for what, a 4-year window? Brilliant player, but never got into coaching here or anything like that. So it's the parameters of what a legend is, I think. Yeah, but yeah, Bannan would certainly be up there. Certainly be up there. We're all Barry, aren't we? I think we are. We're all Barry Bannan. It was a little bit... It might have been Gladiator, you know, because I always think of everything in terms of film and TV, because I'm a bit of a nutter, and I'd got that sort of Gladiator thing in my head. John Hawkes, that just a bit random. I did love John Hawkes. Kill 'em all Batesy. Whatever happens, we're all Wednesday, aren't we? And I will continue to tune into Chef Camp for the best and most entertaining. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you. Oh, actually, I'm going to tell you something today. I had a little phone call. I was a little bit shocked because I'd just been to the bog. I was at work. And I got a phone call, and it was 5 Live. Asked me if I'd talk about Wednesday. So I went on 5 Live. Conor McNamara and Phil Brown, who used to be manager of Hull City, had a little chat with him for 5 minutes. Very nice. Got a bit nervy though, you know, while you're waiting. And they got me. And I ended up banging on about him signing players that managers didn't want Chansiri. I wanted to get up money stuff, but I ended up tunneling myself down there. And do you know what the problem is? As you know from these live streams, I can talk for hours on end, but I've got like 5 minutes to cram it all in. But anyway, so yes, I was on 5 Live this afternoon. I think it was about 6:30, something like that, just after news. Go and have a listen to that. Carl Palmer, best hat-trick ever. Blazing up at Hillsborough. Yes. QPR. In fact, it was a first half hat-trick, weren't it? First half hat-trick. Carlton. He got on it. Was it that time, or was it slightly before or after? Trevor Francis had a bit of a brain fart, I think, because he put Paul Warhurst up front when we had that injury crisis, done fantastically. And I'm sure it's round about the time Palmer got an hat-trick from midfield. I think he thought he would repeat the trick, and he tried him up front for the game. Oh, now then, dearie me. Carl Palmer, like a horse in midfield. I love Carl Palmer. I was talking about Carl Palmer the other day, actually, when in reference to Patterson And we love Carlton Palmer because we know what he did. In the modern game, the modern fan, would they be able to appreciate Carlton Palmer? I mean, even back in the day, opposition fans couldn't appreciate him. But if you talk to fans of clubs that he played for, they were like, yeah, did a great job for us. I think undervalued even then. But in the modern game, when everyone's always banging on about technique all the time, I think he'd probably be even more underrated. But you still need him. That's what I was saying about Callum Patterson. You've got to have them players who'll get out there and get through work and win tackles and win headers. And he got into England's worst team. You know them polls like that, worst team. I always say this, 18 more caps than me. Do you know what I mean? And scored a goal. I'll just do a brief aside about Graham Taylor's England. I think Graham Taylor, he made one mistake. People will say he made a few. Graham Taylor was a long ball manager, he would tell you that himself. Did it at Watford, did it at Villa very successfully, went into England. And I think the problem he had is I don't think he did it enough. I don't think he kept his style enough. I think there was a certain element of it where, because it were internationals, he thought he had to pick certain players. But if you're going to play a long ball style, pick long ball players. I think that's the only thing where... I mean, there was other things along the way, but I think that was the thing. I didn't think Graham Taylor, when he was England manager, was Graham Taylor enough, if you know what I mean. Do what you're good at. If you get in a position by doing things a certain way, do that. Do you. Be true to yourself. Anyway, poor old Graham. I mean, the way the press went after him was absolutely disgusting, actually. I was disappointed as anybody. We had the poor performance at Euro 92, failed to qualify for 94 World Cup. Although he was robbed of some top players. Shearer had done his hamstring. Gascoigne had got his face smashed in. Hurst was injured at the time, who was in the reckoning. I mean, he even called up Paul Warhurst during his amazing spell, and he got injured at training camp, so he did have some bad luck along the way, Kevin G. Do you reckon Baz got a 3-year contract to make up for the salary cap? I don't think he can have. I'm sure, as part of these embargo regulations, that we can only offer 1-year deals. So perhaps that's why he signed it. As I said earlier, 1-year deal and then renegotiate it next summer. We'll see. We'll have to see. So, Young Good. Great song. We've got Carlton Palmer, he smokes marijuana. Slightly more well known than we've got Nigel Jemson, he smokes Tony Benson. Chris Turner and Kevin Pressman, both Wednesday legends in my eyes. Certainly, yep. Turner played in 2 spells, manager, had a very difficult time as well. I did find it hard at that stage. I can remember that was a really hard watch, that team. But where I do give Chris Turner credit when he was a manager, he did bring in some good young players. Maybe didn't get the best out of them himself or at that time, but brought in good young players that we managed to turn over at a profit. And that's something we haven't seen all the way through Mr. Chanseydi's reign, really. He's turning players over at a profit. And Kevin Pressman, I think Kevin Pressman is probably a legend. Kevin Pressman's my favourite ever goalkeeper. 13 years. As I said, it ticks that box for longevity. But the thing about Kevin Pressman as well is he always came back. It felt like every time a new manager came in, they signed a goalkeeper. And it's not like signing a centre-half. You might sign a centre-half and they go into a 4-man sort of rotation or whatever. When managers sign a goalkeeper, it's to play. It's very rare you sign a goalkeeper for the bench. And he had that done to him about 4 or 5 times, Kevin Pressman. And every single time, after being initially dropped for the new boy, he ended up back in, you know. Terrific. Hurgle McGurgle, evening. The referee robbed us against Holland. Well, exactly. I mean, Coleman steps up, scores that free kick, shouldn't have been on pitch. Should not have been on pitch. The rules have changed slightly now, but the old last man rule is old plat down. He should have been off. He should have been off. And I know we'd not played brilliantly, although we had it the woodwork. But yeah, that was shocking. Mark Ennis, Bannan is a proper captain. If his ship's going down, he's going down with it. Absolute Wednesday legend. He is. As I said, keep going back to it. I'm absolutely shocked that he's signed. From a business point of view, you know, in terms of if you think about a player as a business, which, you know, his agent has to, probably the wrong decision, but heart. Woods, Walker, Palmerston, worst England ever. Well, Des was fantastic. Carlton, I think, fully deserved his call up. The thing about Carlton Palmer, he always gets in these worst teams. Teams are about balance. You've got to get the right balance. So sticking Carlton Palmer in midfield with Paul Ince, they're both going to get a footing. They're both going to get about. Carlton more so. But if you look at Carlton Palmer's best spells in his career, you look at him working with John Sheridan, there's that balance. Leeds and Coventry, Gary McAllister, wonderful, wonderful player, Gary McAllister. Again, balance. It's all about balance. Because it's easy for us to look at players and talk about them as individual talent. He's good at crossing, he's bad at tackling, you know, this and that, he can't head, but he can shoot, and on all these things. But blend, get someone else in whose strength is the things that might be their weakness. That's what building a team is, isn't it? I'm getting a bit carried away here. March 3108. One of his biggest mistakes was not picking Waddle when he was the best player in England at the time. He was. He certainly was. And Peter Beardsley. That season, I think 93 was it? Waddle and Beardsley, top of the assist column for Newcastle on Wednesday. Two of the form players. And he said at the time it was he was looking to build a younger team. Obviously, Waddle was 31, and Beardsley was about 33. So, and you've got to make them decisions when you manage it. And like I said, he'd got a way of playing when he was at Villa and Watford that probably wouldn't have suited them two. So I didn't agree with the decision, but I could understand the decision, if that makes sense. Unlike the newspapers who were just absolutely horrible to him. Stuart Rucker, if it was the only choice, would you have Dave Allen back? Well, if it was the only choice, I wouldn't have much choice. No, but what? No. You can't have chairman, you know, calling fans cretins, really, in my book. No. Although, to be fair to him at the time, he did put his own money in, which was something that we needed, you know, in terms of the loans and everything. But yeah. Green Fingers. What's that profile picture? Somebody looking in a Ring doorbell. Evening all. Positive news about Bannan. As hard as it'll be, we need to stay positive. Become one voice. Exactly. We are Wednesday. We'll always be Wednesday. We'll be here when he's gone. We will be here when he's gone. Okay, well, Trevor Francis was the start of the decline, the first millionaire. Yeah, but weren't it 999,999 pence because Cloughy didn't want him to be the first £1 million player or something like that? That might be one of them popular myths. Thomas Denton, the loyalty Bannan has shown, he deserves a statue outside the ground. Do you think the else can build one? As you've probably seen from thumbnail, or you might not have, because I think some of you joined late, but I had a thumbnail at the beginning of this thread. You'll see it on playback anyway. Get them fucking elephants melted down. Get them into smelting pot, them elephants, and make a Barry Bannan statue out of that. I wouldn't only. I am a bit mardy. Who was the chairman fella who owned the Internet Plus Net company? That was Lee Strafford, who took a brutal time from our fans. Harshly, in my view. It did. I know we always say we want people to engage with the supporters. You can't engage with all supporters because some supporters, like any walk of life, if you've got, somebody told me the other day the Wednesday fan base all over the world is about 500,000 or so. Now, you can't engage with all of them because amongst 500,000 people, there's bound to be people in there who are fucking idiots. So, and I think he tried to engage with everybody and had, one or two little skirmishes. But I thought Lee Strafford had some fantastic ideas, actually. I'm not sure he had the money or the clout to follow him through. But one of the criticisms we've had of Mr. Chansiri over the last 10 years is he's triggered these FFP problems that we've had. He's chucked money at it, and he always tells us that, he's not shy of telling us that he's chucked money at it. But he has literally just chucked it at it. With the infrastructure, we look at the trouble we're having with the North Stand now. He could have spent loads of money on that stadium and it wouldn't have troubled his FFP. Could chuck loads of money at that academy, which, as we've seen recently, has had some good players coming through it. Maybe we could have done that up and keep hold of those players. And these are sort of ideas that Strafford was talking about, the 15 years ago, is it now? And obviously he did those designs for upgrading the stadium. And like I said, perhaps he didn't have the clout to do it, but I thought he had some really good ideas. Creating a positive image as well. There was all that, with the Children's Hospital on the front of the shirt. He did lots of good stuff. And like I said, maybe he didn't have the serious money to follow some of it through, and perhaps he engaged in talking to people when perhaps he shouldn't have. But good ideas, and I thought he had a very hard time of it. But after having some good ideas, and them stadium plans, the ideas for them, they're still online and really good looking. The stadium plans, not league. Sibon was the GOAT. He was a fucking GOAT. 1 game out of 3, he did mine up. Brilliant technician, fantastic footballer, and I know he played in a poor side. And there's an argument that 1 year he kept us up, with his goals, but as a role model for the young lads that were coming through, we've got Geary, Bromby, Quinn, who else was in there at that time? There's young Crane coming through, Morrison, the young lads. I think he could have been a better role model, Gerald, and Turtle header, touche Turtle header. Russell Howe, Grunt Whelan, Bagheera. Oh, Majid Bagheera, yeah, another good player. Hello? Hey, sweetheart. Okay, darling. Whelan, terrific player. Brunt, yep. Players that Chris Turner brought in. Like I said, he might not have got the best out of them at that time, but players that we managed to sell them for a profit. And that's something you've got to do. Oh, Brian Cassidy, evening, Jim. Glad to feel that Bannan has shown his worth, even though I don't like him that much. You can't knock him for his loyalty. You can't. I think even ardent blades like yourself, Brian, would appreciate that. Want to watch me play on grass? Is that you, Eric? Have you been on Wacky Backy? I don't know where you're going here. All of them you've mentioned sodded off to S2. Yeah, they did. Well, I think Geary and... Was it Geary and Bromby or Geary and Quinn? 2 of them went to Stockport. Dropped down a few divisions, and which shows the state of where we were at the time. Similar, like we are now with players like Windask and Wrexham, and Patterson got to MK Dons, dropping down to... So they went to Stockport, and then old Warnock picked them up on cheap, didn't he? DeCanio, almost entertaining, yeah. Paolo, he's phenomenal talent. I think that's one of the most upset and angry I've ever been about losing a player, because he was a world-class talent. And I do mean world-class. And if he didn't fall out with, let me see, every single manager he ever had, he would have played for Italy, Weren't Trapattoni at the time, who Italy manager at the time, who he essentially said he'll never get a cap while I've got an hole in my arse, Ian Begin, trouble with Palmer is a great player for Wednesday, but some of his media talk was shit. Carlton's a big personality, isn't he? And he does seem to get some of these dates and players mixed up now and again, but I don't think Carlton's any stranger to a pint of best, is he? Yeah, terrific player, Carlton Palmer, wonderful. And we loved him. Russell, I remember Frank's own goal keeping us up, and Graham Kavanagh, who really white-haired, didn't he, for somebody of his age. He looked like... looked a bit like J. Jonah Jameson at Spider-Man comics. Do I think the club badge will ever go back to the proper one instead of the junior school kids effort? Out of all the things Chansiri's done, this badge is the least thing that's ever upset me. In fact, I quite like it. It's classic. I know we love the old one, and the reason I love the old one is because you could draw it on a pencil case, dead easy, lowercase e, two eyes in middle. But there's no reason why you can't use both, is it? You can have one as your badge and one as your logo, or however you want to describe it. You can use both. And in terms of merchandise, we're missing a real trick there. I mean, I do actually think that this new one, which is based on the old one, I think it's quite classy. You can't draw it, but I don't think it looks classy. I think you can use it on. You can use both. Merchandise, shirts, you could. No end of things that you can do. Use both of them. Where am I now? Take that name off our seats. Oh, absolutely. I saw a thing today. Let me see if I can get it. This happens every week. I sit down just to have a chat, and then I end up needing some sort of pictorial thing to show you. Let me just see if I can get this. I'm not very if it's in there. I have tried to link my phone and my computer, but as you know, because of how I am, well beyond my pay scale. But let me just show you this. I'm actually getting used to using this stuff now. Add image. Wrong one. There we go. No, add. There, what? Anybody seen that today? Yeah, let's get his name off the standard and let's get someone up there who is a legend of the club. If it's not going to say SWFC, then it's got to say something like that. Yeah. Yeah, nice that. Tell me you didn't shed a tear today, and tell me you didn't shed a tear today. Just joined. Sorry for this message. Now, Disney Mad Steph or Stephen PS. Need some hyphens in there. Get it sorted. Like I said, I'm quite emotional as I get older. When Bannan were talking about his kids crying, I were getting a little bit, and just having to give me a quick dab. Always loved the black shorts. exactly. Should always be black shorts. I'll get another one of my slides up because branding, we talk about the old logo, the new logo, and stuff like that. And brands look at, as I said the other week, I think it was, Real Madrid. I can ask any of you, Real Madrid, and you'll go, white, white, white. Man United, red, white, black. Liverpool, red, red, red. Everton, blue, white, white. And our branding is all over the place, and it's not hard to do. It shouldn't be hard to do. So we'll just swap, get this in, remove, there. Honestly, you'll never go wrong with that. You'll never go wrong with that. Now, I know they have to make certain changes because they've got to flog new kits every year. Actually, they only need to flog a kit every other year, if in my opinion. But anyway, but you can do stuff with that. You can keep it like that. You can put a white stripe down side its shorts. You could do a little white lightning flash down side. But it's not hard. It really ain't hard. Bit too dangerous to go in the stand and take the name off, pal. Well, yes, little bit dangerous to do anything in the ground now, because that's been the other big story this week, is the facial recognition software that's been going in Hillsborough. Now, a mate of mine had been down there about 6 months ago, and he was told at the time exactly what was going in. These super microphones that can pick up conversations. And I know that football stadiums, you've got to keep an eye out for loonies. I mean, there's been banning orders. Every club in the land, especially since COVID, people have got a little bit lippy and, nobody tells me what to do. I'm going to act like a twat wherever I go. So there's banning orders all over the country, various clubs. So and clubs have got to be aware of that, and the authorities have got to be aware of that. So yes, cameras in and around turnstiles, stop cleg nuts getting in the ground. But once you're in the ground, once you're in the stands, once you're in the concourse, people stood on concourse eating a pie and having a bovril at half time, who might be saying things like, I can't wait till this bloke knobs off. That shouldn't be being recorded for me. It's very sinister in my eyes, that. Absolutely sinister. Yeah. The Bannan North stand. Yeah, well, why not? Why not? Because if we do get out of this and we've still got a ground, absolutely. Yeah, Megan, Jim, love your channel. Keep it up. Thank you, Ian. I will. It all started as a bit of a daft little thing, this, for my mates when we're having World Cups and what have you. But yeah, it's grown. I do enjoy it. Simple kits are the best. They are. Did you ever watch The Apprentice? I'm sure you probably did. I haven't watched it for a few years now because I get annoyed with these cleg nuts. But every year from season 1, Alan Sugar, one of the top businessmen in country, every time there's a task and he gets them in that boardroom, he's been telling them the same thing. I've been telling him, is it 10 years it's been going? Probably 20. He tells them the same thing time after time. Simple. What is it? What does it do? How much does it cost? Simple. But folks don't overcomplicate everything. Overcomplicate everything. But I guess they don't seem to realise people can't afford new kits every year. Crazy at 72 quid. It is absolutely crazy. Like everything else at this club over the past 10 years or so, it's been an absolute rip-off. I mean, Chanseri's early years, people talked about, and he has still got 1 or 2 defenders, by the way. People always talk about, he came in, he chucked money at it, you weren't moaning then. It didn't go unnoticed by me. Then prices went up the very first season. There was a jump in ticket prices that very first season. And at that stage, all he'd done is put a big telly in, so warning signs were always there. Last season, highest ticket prices in the division, 4th highest attendance in the division, 4th lowest wage bill. That don't add up. That does not add up. January, renewal season tickets. North of £6 million gone into club. By March, it's gone. No. Ashley Green, love the Bannan stand. Ironically, a breath of wind could shave the top off both. Yeah, we'll go for the statue. Shall I get my little statue thing back up? Where are we? Wrong one. I'm still fanning about it. There, that's it. That's what I was going to do. Melt them fucking elephants down and make a Barry Bannan statue. What do you think about that, folks? Hey? Yeah, very good. Foxy Jane 88. Are you Foxy? Are you I love Bannan, but it feels like a way to get the fans to chill out. I don't think it's going to chill them out. I think everyone's delighted. I'm delighted. I think everyone's really pleased that we've kept hold of him. Bit of leadership in the team, these young lads coming through. But I don't think... I think I know what you're getting at in terms of the club using it as a positive spin and things going well, which they sort of try and have to do, don't they? But no, I don't think it'll work in terms of putting people off the campaign to get rid of the owner. I think that'll be stuck to. I think the positivity is about Bannan rather than the fact that the club have managed to keep Bannan, if you see what I mean. If the manager and captain have signed, says Russell, surely this means something is happening that we don't know about. Well, hopefully. Hopefully. That's all we can do, is just keep fingers crossed. But as I said, was it 2 days ago, that live stream where they said at the moment, no official bids in. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Bannan stick around because of his family, not this crumbling club. Well, yeah, as I said earlier, definitely a case of heart rolling head. And all you lot who missed the beginning, you're going to have to watch that tomorrow now, aren't you? Because I've talked about this. His heart's obviously rolled his head, and his agent must be crying because he'll have thought, one more move. And he ain't moved. Evening, pal. Evening, lost boy. Nice of you to come along. Gary Lineker is the foxy lady. Gary Lineker was a fox in the box. It gets in my all-time England side. Brilliant, brilliant poacher. And people always forget, Gary Lineker was absolutely lightning. Over 15, 20 yards. His acceleration, unbelievable. Brilliant, brilliant player. Oh, Brian, I've already highlighted that one. Your wage bill's certainly lower now, Jim. It couldn't get much lower anyway. Like I said, we're fourth lowest wage budget in the division last season, and we had that little skirt around top six, so overperforming really for a lot of the season. Him again, new CCTV. Totally agree with you. Sinister. It is sinister. Especially paying for the installation but not paying the staff. Exactly. I mean, it's just surveillance. It's just spying on people. And as I said in the longer form video I did in the week, it's all a bit North Korea, isn't it? You know, it leaves a very sour taste in the mouth, I'm afraid. They could put any number they like to Bannan's contract for wage because it won't ever get paid. Well, there is talk that the EFL are going to direct any funds that are coming into the club. So the Kadamatri money from Man City, the Rangers money for Gassama. It won't Trabzonspor, but the Turkish team anyway that signed Masaba. There's talk that the EFL are going to redirect that money and ensure that it don't go somewhere into that black hole, but that money is put aside and goes directly towards players and staff. So that's a bit of good news, you know. Let's crack through some of these again. Rich 5890, Semedo, another club legend. Again, a player that brilliant footballer, Not particularly. Did he bring balance to that side? Yes. He was right in the middle, at the heart of it. And different players bring different skill sets. Wonderful, wonderful signing. I've got to be honest, before we got him from Charlton, I'd never heard of him. But yeah, fantastic for us. I keep wanting to call you Brian the Blade, but obviously you're not the Brian the Blade, old Bruno. Our adult shirts are 60 quid, which still ain't cheap, especially for our kids too. But it's it's nearly 13 quid lower than ours. And you're paying money for them shirts, and you're probably going to see some half-decent players this year. We're going to be scrabbling about in kids. Tiggs 2770, a testimonial. Yeah, and speaking of testimonials, it still annoys me, and I know it's some time ago now, that Kevin Pressman never got a testimonial. 13 years. How many managers did he play under in that time? Howard, Ron, Trevor, Pleat, Wilson. Who else did we have in there? Yorith, Shreves. I always felt Kevin Pressman deserved a testimonial. Adrian Denton, I can live with relegation as long as we have a stable club next season. That's all we want, isn't it? It's all we want is to be able to tip up. Some folks would like to be able to wash their hands after they've had a piss. I know it's not for everybody, but some people would like that. I think the women especially. A stadium where you're not sat there wondering if it's going to fall on your head. That would also be nice. And a competitive team. Nobody's saying go out and spend hundreds of millions on a centre forward, but a competitive team. And that's a shame with what, the falling out he had with Danny, is that with the fourth lowest wage budget in the division, he had got us competitive, and that's all we want. He's not had to go mad, but, So the Burnley game didn't happen then, Jim? No, Burnley game didn't happen. I don't know if it particularly was a strike, because I'd heard something else as well, that they were, the training, obviously Wednesday and the style of play has been very intense the last 2 or 3 seasons, the way that we're closing teams down. And I understand that the training numbers, because we're down to 15 pros, have had to be made up with a lot of kids. And that 1 or 2 of them kids have probably been struggling a little bit with the intensity of it, and I mean, they're babbies, aren't they? Maybe getting some cramps and this over there. So, and the other side of it is, we've got a few of those players who have put in a notice or out of contract. I don't think you're insured to play in friendly matches. I once had a rate deal with Sheffield and Elmshire about having to get liability insurance to play a friendly match at that level, which is unbelievable. Gally, evening, Paul. How many players can you think of who generally loved our club like we do as fans? I can't think of Palmer and Bannan. I think Chris Waddle. I think Waddle does love Wednesday. I know he's a Geordie, but he still lives here, loves the city. I think you could say Chris Waddle does. And obviously Sterling, born and bred Wednesdayite, Zico. John Pearson, of course, massive Wednesdayite and former striker. I think there's quite a few actually. John Newsom, of course, Wednesday fan first, sort of player second. There's quite a few. Amber, Kevin Pressman still has record for the most appearances in Wednesday shirts, so yes, he deserves it. I love Big Kev. And like I said, how many more appearances would he had if every time a new gaffer came in, they didn't sign a keep? And I wonder how much of that money could have been spent on other areas of the team where we did need strengthening at the time. That's Glenn Peacock. Evening, Glenn, one of my longer time viewers, old Glenn. Do you think DC will sell it before the end of the season? I've no idea. But I wish we could afford somebody to go and investigate him. I was reading, my dad had sent me a couple of videos and articles over there about Reading. And although in the end the AFL did kick him out, it wasn't them who thoroughly investigated that Young. It was he was some professor of like Asian studies or something. I can't remember, Liverpool, Manchester, or somewhere like that. And he went and investigated him, and it was him who found out that Young had got a string of criminal prosecution cases coming up against him. He told the EFL, they were like, "Oh, that's on our list of things you can't do to run a football club in this country," and it was that got him out. And that was, somebody sort of going out and investigating it. Obviously, he could speak the lingo. I wish we could do that. I wish we'd got somebody in our fan base who could speak Thai, who were a private detective, Dick Spanner, whatever, and send them out and find something out about them. But off his own bat, will he sell? I don't know. I keep hearing he's just doing it to be vindictive now. I couldn't say I don't know him as a person. I know he's made some terrible decisions. I think a lot of them has just been stubbornness and not knowing what he's doing. Would he vindictively run club into ground? I know people say he could do that out of spite, but I don't know what he'd get out of it. I mean, every single day, that club is worth less to him, and it will get to a stage where he'll just have nothing left. And surely bail out with something rather than nothing, I don't know. Gavin Mills, evening fellas and owls, just joined watching from being lol. Come on. Have you been on ale? Or are you like me? Are you typing on your phone with fat fingers? Because I do it. Are you watching from abroad? That'd be nice. Barry Thompson, evening chef, cut you a little late. I know, it's my fault, pal, because I should advertise these, but gospel truth, I never know when I'm going to do them. I just thought, I don't really feel tired enough for bed. And I thought, I'll do a stream. Maybe I should make them regular. I reckon maybe like every other Saturday night or something, every other Sunday night. Maybe, we'll see. We're winning the league. You've definitely been smoking Jamaican Woodbines. Gordon Bennett. What's your name there? I can't work it out. Mr. Elf. Maybe I need glasses. Always remember, love spreads. Not like Lurpak. Hello all, evening Paul. You've not missed much. We've discussed Chancery, Bannan, Reading, Golden Elephants, Barry Bannan statues, Barry Bannan North Stand. What else have we discussed? I think that's about it, isn't it? And the fact that most people who are watching this stream are either pissed or smoking something. What about Kev? Yes, the best penalty taker. I've always said this. If somebody's got to take a penalty to save your life, otherwise you're getting guillotine, Kevin Pressman. At 100%. In fact, I'll tell you a little analogy about that. Do you remember, everyone always remembers the one he took against Watford, but he took one against Wolves that I think might have been even harder. And a mate of mine at the time, Wolves fan, was it his uncle or his dad? One of them actually worked down at Molyneux and actually told him when he'd spoken on the phone, said, that Kevin Pressman penalty, we had to repair the netting after the game. Yeah. That's the one, Paul. Yeah, the one he did indeed twat it. Ashley Green, I like how there's no news of a strike against Leicester. Keep it that way till kick off. The one thing the players are, which obviously the owner isn't, but the players are professional, aren't they? They've been turning up unpaid. So, and so have loads of members of staff at the club, by the way, But obviously, we're mainly talking about football. And I've got half a mind they will play. I've got half a mind they will. But if they don't, if they stick to the guns, and as I said, I'm sure the PFA'd back them with everything that's going on. That's the way to do it. It's not to just not go, but it's to go and then make a statement. But as I said, I am quite militant. Can't believe the elephants are still there. Should have been in the Don. I think they take them in at night, don't they? I think they take them in at night. And don't forget now, with the surveillance, so find out who you are. You know, you can chuck an elephant in Don, and next thing you've got a lifetime ban from ground. These are things I'm on about, you know. It sounds like I'm wanting a world where people are allowed to carry out nuisance behaviour and get away with it, but, well, maybe in certain circumstances, yeah. Yeah, get them melted down. Get them down East End. Get them in one of the big smelting pots, and let's have a statue of Baz. Ruined years ago. Well, Wednesday. I've been ruined many nights. Gooney Hill, great news, but a little too late, I fear. Good luck to you. Well, we've had such a desperate summer. In fact, we haven't really had a summer, have we, as Wednesday fans? We haven't, you know, last season didn't finish, and we didn't say, you know, I've float lads off, well done, boys, nearly meant playoffs this time next year, and then all go off on their summer holidays. You know, the season finished, and then it was like doom, doom, doom. And we've all spent all summer like this, haven't we? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, bollocks. Oh, shit. It's been a horrible summer. So this news about Barry Bannan signing, whilst it's probably not going to save next season from being a disaster, you've got to cling to the few positives that you do have, haven't you? Glenn Peacock, what's that instrument in your profile picture? Is it French horn or something? I don't know much about brass. How long can this narcissistic piece of work carry on? There will be potential bloodbath when the first home game comes to light. I don't know how long it can carry on. I don't know why he'd want to carry on. You know, that's one question that keeps popping into my head. Why? Why would you possibly want to hang about? And like I said, some people say hang about out of spite. Some people say, well, he's hanging about because he thinks he's going to get 100 million for it. I don't know what he's getting out of it. And he did actually say himself, was it 6 months or so ago, that he was starting to feel a bit badly with it all himself. You know, the stress of it were getting to him. And so again, back to the point, why stay? Why stay? Unless, of course, you need to stay to try and make money back because perhaps you owe it to some people who are ruthless, shall we say. These elephants, are they to do with Chancery? Yes, they're lucky golden elephants outside the South City. You must have seen them, Brian. In fact, you're a United fan. I know you've seen them. You guys have seen everything about Wednesday. So, Matthew, do you think Bastain makes it less and more likely we strike against Leicester? That's a very good point, Tom. Barry Bannan, ultimate professional, leader of the team. I think Baz will want to play. I think that's his personality. I think he'll want to play. I know there's bigger issues at the club that the fans are upset with. I think he'll want to play, Barry Bannan. He does strike me as the type who want to go out there and say, yeah, it might be shit. We might have a weak team, we might have kids, but it's our job to play football. I'm a bit the other way. You know, as I said, if it were me, I'd be a bit more militant. Difficult position for him, actually, as club captain, I think, Barry Bannan. Ian Biggin, I'd chip in to have him investigated. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing we were talking about earlier, weren't it? This bloke who got himself over to China and investigated Dai Young, a private eye. Wouldn't it be great? Yeah, if we all chipped in and got a private eye jetted over there. But then what would you do if he went missing? That happens a lot, doesn't it? Private eyes. Not used to in 80s and 90s. We're always picking up stories in newspapers. A private eye was investigating a murder on behalf of a family. He's gone missing. We used to spell loads of them stories, didn't it? All sounds quite glamorous being a private eye, doesn't it? I think it's because of them books in it, you know, Marlowe, and it, that sort of thing. I quite fancy my sense that day on stakeout, you know, sat in car, smoking tabs and eating donuts. The Trust have been trying to look into DC's finances and links. They haven't. I think they found out quite a bit. But like I said, if you could have somebody in Thailand, so there's somebody inside the country who was a fluent speaker and really, really get dug in there, that'd be fantastic. He loves to play the bad guy, like you put on your previous caption with Agent Pack. So, yeah, do you know what? I really enjoyed making that little video that with the music from Bugsy Maloney, because I was listening to it one. I was washing up, and I always have headphones on when I'm washing up, and the song just popped on. Actually, it was the other song, Fat Sam's Grand Slam. And that popped in, and I was listening to the words, and I thought, God, this is them two. I could imagine them two. And I wish I could animate, because in my head, I'd got these ideas of having them dancing about the screen, doing the, you know, yeah. Adrian Denton, I have a feeling Mandrick and others are waiting to pick up the club for the locker talk. Exactly. That was something somebody told me probably 7 or 8 months ago that Mike Ashley, somebody had asked him about Wednesday, and he said, well, I'm not going to bid for Wednesday. You know, because whatever you say about Mike Ashley, he always turns a profit for himself, doesn't he? You know, he is actually a businessman. Might not be liked wherever he goes and the companies that he's on, but he personally always turns a profit. And apparently he said, I'd look at him, you know, if they would have had me, if I could pick him up for a quid and flipping him in 2 years, yeah. Yeah, I think Mandrick will probably the same. Again, somebody else, no danger. He don't mind coming in and buying low and selling high. That's any business, isn't it? You know. Barry Taunton, no worries, mate. YouTube does a bad job even with notifications on. It is hit and miss because I'm subscribed to all other ones because I find it quite relaxing, despite the fact all shit that's happening at clubs. So Wednesday Till I Die one, I get them. Obviously Jake and Talking Wednesday one. It's funny, Wednesday Till I Die one, theirs is on YouTube and Twitter. But I still listen to them on the Old Fashioned podcast one. I don't know why. I think because I started off listening to them like a radio show. And I've watched a couple of live ones, but I like theirs as a radio show. I don't know why. But I do like radio. I've always got Radio 4 on it card, and I like to listen to them older. Most of you's old like me. Get on YouTube after this. Somebody's uploaded all them old Tony Hancock radio shows. They're absolutely brilliant. I'd never heard them before, you know. Obviously watched a TV show when I was a kid and loved it. But now that all them old radio shows are on, and you can do stuff with radio that they couldn't do on telly at the time, you know, they weren't the special effects, were they? So radio, when you're listening to a radio play, imagination, brilliant. My favourite ones is the one when he's a pilot, and there's one called The Pie Stall. They're my two favourites. Go and listen to them after. Brilliant. When it gets to ITV News, you know it's bad. It's been on ITV News, it's been on BBC, it's been on Locals, been on 5 Live. I was on there for 5 minutes today. Did you miss that earlier? When did you join this chat? Yes, I was on there, 6:30 after news. Go and get that listened to. Jamaican Woodbine, but they are, aren't they? Half for you lot. I'm sure you've done something. Or them space cakes. Kareem Harris scored today twice in both nets. I felt a bit for Kareem Harris because he just weren't good enough. I don't think there was ever a lack, and I'm a bit of a soft touch like this, lack of application from him. Because I used to feel sorry for Ashley Westwood because he used to take a slagging, that lad, and he weren't a great player, but tried his best. He gave everything in that shirt. He used to just limp from that pitch half at time. He usually injured himself, chucking himself into a tackle and got no right to try and win. Lathered in sweat, took a dog's abuse, and you'd got star players not trying a leg and getting applauded off when they got subbed when they'd been shit. I am a soft touch like that, but work rate. We could have a work rate. Which away day are you looking forward to? Well, maybe Bramall Lane. We'll take our under-21s down to Bramall Lane. And I mentioned that because I'd not thought about it till the other day. There's been that much going off at Hillsborough. And we were just chatting about work. And one of the lads just stopped it. We were on about, Mandrick coming over, Wiltshire Series Cell, the Old Show Consortium, then that texted and players out of contract, which, and then we had a little lulling conversation and we're just sipping tea. And then one of the lads went, "We've got them bastards to play twice. We are kids." And suddenly we're like, oh, fucking hell. Because genuinely, I'd forgot all about it. I'd forgot all about playing United. I had, honestly. And then it sort of come looming into my head and I thought, Jesus, you don't want to be taking a load of untested kids down there in that environment, Oof. Ray Weatherill, pissed. Correct, I'm sure you're all pissed. Honestly, it's Saturday night and here's me drinking water, being the hero. Let's go around again tomorrow morning. I must have been missing a bit. I've got, Speaking of penalties v Wolves, I remember Waddle missed the only penalty. Rough night. And it was his first one since World Cup when all went it. And I think, is Chris Waddle right-handed? You all know my theory about left-footed right-handers taking penalties. Is Chris Waddle right-handed? Open play is one thing, penalties different thing. Nicky Weaver versus Chesterfield in JP Trophy. Mark Crossley, his header, another scoring goalkeeper there. Brian, like I said, I keep wanting to call you Brian the Blade. As Penn supporters, would you mind if after paying loads out to go to Leicester, they walked off the pitch? How would you really feel? I'm not kidding. Every Wednesday fan I've spoken to, I said, yeah, if they walked off down tunnel, they'd applaud them off. Because I'd had an idea over there about them doing that, doing toss and kick off and then walking off. And then somebody mentioned to me, they could walk over to away end, sort of applaud Wednesday fans and just have a sitting down there. Equally as good idea. And I think that'd be a real showing of togetherness, wouldn't it? Players and fans all just sat there in away end games altered. That'd be it. And I know what you're saying, Brian. It is a lot of money to go to Leicester, but equally, it's a lot of money to go to Leicester and get pasted, isn't it? It's a lot of money to go every week to Hillsborough. Like I said, highest ticket prices in division. You can get to Premier League games for cheaper than you can get to Hillsborough. Was there supposed to be a protest today at Hillsborough? Glenn, I couldn't tell you. Like I said, I've been at work today, so I've had very limited news. So there's only really the Barry Bannan stuff I heard. But I've heard there is going to be, what's this with whistle protest? I don't know if it's Leicester or Stoke. Somebody mentioned a whistle protest. Mr. Elf, you've changed your font. That's better. Need to do a round of applause for Bannan LLC in the 10th minute first home game. I don't think it is amazing that he stayed. I really do. Like I said, from a career point of view, you're in your twilight. probably got one last move in you. And as I've said many times this evening, his agent must be like, what the fuck are you doing, bud? You know. Bulk up, they do indeed take the elephants in at night. I thought they would do. They only bring him out on match days when Shane said he's in residence or a special occasion. I thought he would, because they would have got it done by now. If they were out all the time, they would have got it done. Absolutely. No problem. Ray Wetherill, replying to Brian's comment, I would applaud every one of them if they walked off the pitch, Brian. Yeah, I think everybody would. I really do. Right, I guess it looks like a bassoon in Glenn's pic. That's right. I wanted to know, didn't I? Where's Glenn's icon? Let me get it back up. Is that bassoon? That icon? I don't know much about brass. Although a mate of mine from when I was young, he's in that right famous brass band. Not that famous that I can remember what they called. My memory's not very good. But yeah. Barry Taunton, a successful season is getting that man out of this club and nothing else really matters. No, I did think at sort of end of last season, I did think we were approaching sort of end game with him. And I think it's a bit of a shame that the season ended when it did, because in terms of supporter protests, I think momentum was really starting to pick up. And of course, we almost sort of ran out of time then in terms of games and games essentially being events where you can turn up and have a protest. So we sort of ran out of time. And of course, then they cancelled OWLS in the Park, which I think was a sensible thing to do, because obviously it is a family event, a kids event, and you wouldn't want out to sort of go off there. But yeah. Anthony Eddington, I'm a Barnsley fan for my sins. A dingle. The dingles are welcome here. The Bannan deal could be the catalyst, not only for the current crop, it may encourage others to join for pride more than money. I think that's all it's going to be this season is pride. Like I said, this talk Max Lowe might be off. I'd really like us to keep hold of Max Lowe. It came in, had to win people over, because not a mentality I understand, but I heard a hell of a lot of people, well, we've signed him for pigs. But a player's a player. You know, once he signs for you, he's yours, isn't he? He's not theirs anymore. Because he's that only natural left back. But not just that. How many games did he play at centre half last season when we'd got the injuries piling up? And currently Bernard's injured. I think he's going to be injured until September. Even when we get to September, I think he's one of those who's not particularly keen to hang about. So I offered an Otagbale. Is that your first choice centre-half partnership? I mean, there's probably an argument in terms of experience to keep Lowe at centre-half. So losing him would be a massive blow, I think, Max Lowe. It really would. And taking out Shea Charles, who I think was probably our player of the year last year, of the ones we owned, I think it would be a toss-up between Gassama and Max Lowe for player of the year, actually. So it'd be gutting if we lost him. Ray, if he carries on, he'll be getting a quid for the club. Exactly. I do think he's running. I don't want to say running out of time, but I think Chancery is going to run out of options, because every day it goes on, the club is worth less. Although I got a text yesterday. Somebody had been up to Hillsborough to sort something out about some tickets and said there were loads of people with high-vis vests knocking about. Whether they were fixing stand or filling in them sinkholes that had gone through them old cellars. Amber, at Brian, I think the general feeling is there would be fan support. I think the fans know the players and staff have been treated so badly. Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm convinced that they get a round of applause Wednesday fans support players if they did that from the supporters. Glenn Peacock, in answer to his icon pictures, had this to say. I just put a random photo of my YouTube profile pics. Lol. So we don't know what instrument that is. There's got to be one of you out there who's a musician. What is it? Kill 'em all, Batesy. I won't be surprised if there's not some fraud in his business. Let's. Got to be very careful, because I have been told this by somebody very close. He does have social media checked. Got to be very careful in terms of what we say. There's certain words, let me put it that way, that could get you in trouble. And it won't be the first time. Wednesday, I mean, was it Dave Allen around that time? He took a load of Wednesday fans to court for stuff they'd been putting on OWLS Talk. I think it was about 20 of them. He took them to court. Was it defamation? What's the other one? One's written, one's verbal. Can't remember which way around it. But you have got to be careful, be careful. Because I won't want any of you to get into trouble. Vardy switches sides. How old's Vardy now? He's not coming here. He's not coming here. Glenn Peacock. Remember when Chansiri put the royal tie photo on the screen for the ceremony? Yes, it was the funeral of the King of Thailand. That was a very bizarre silence with everybody sort of looking around and what we're doing here, But everyone showed respect to his culture, and likewise, he should fucking show a bit towards ours. I think there has to be something drastic to remove this clown from your club. Chipping for the hitman, Jim. Somebody at work were joking about that the other day. I said, oh, Wednesday Trust is having a fund, to put money in to try and get, investigative lawyers to look into things, this or other. And he said, oh, we'd be better. He said the same thing. We'd be better hiring one of them. I'll do it to channel my inner Axel Foley. I loved Beverly Hills Cop. First time I saw that one, I was about 10. I thought, I might quite like being black, not realising that I'd be a black man over here and not sunning myself in Los Angeles, which I'm wearing a cool jacket and just generally not being Eddie Murphy. I wonder what I'd look like as a black man. Well, in fact, I can tell you what I'd look like as a mixed race man, because a few years ago, one of the lads, he got one of these filter things on his phone, and he were messing about, and he said, hey, look, taking pictures. So I had to go eat, and I took a picture of a couple of lads at work and put them through woman filtered and old filter. I made them into, they look like dinner ladies. That were quite funny. And then I put myself in through the filter to see what I'd look like when I was younger, but with a bald head. And it did. It made me into a mixed race man. So I don't know how they work. Paul Cook, China and Thailand, different cultures. Chanseri's type of class, they get away with murder, literally in some places. Muck does not stick to them. Investigating him is a dead end. Investigating him to that end, but what I'm on about, Paul, is if we investigate him out there and we found out that there's anything criminal happening out there, that means that the EFL, it triggers their regulations, and then they have got the power to say, sell the club, or we can have you removed from the club. So that's what I'm not saying that he's going to get. I'm not saying he's not going to get away with stuff over there. People do get away with stuff over there, as we know. But if you can find out about it or any charges, then yeah. What if there's fraud? And that's Batesy. Careful. Yeah, we could have been the great song. Yeah, not bad. Nah, then. That walking a fine line tonight, eh? Hallam Wednesday versus Sheffield FC Wednesday. I I honestly I haven't been to see club, I bet, for 18 months to a year. I don't want to go and get and watch them both this season, although it's getting a bit busy up at Allen, actually. I used to enjoy the fact you could stroll in and get where you want. Last few times I've been, it's been like, bleeding hell, there's not a lot of room left anymore. Okay, take a day off and get to bed. It's past your bedtime. It's past your bedtime, Paul. Glenn, I genuinely believe Wednesday will come out the other end with a positive outcome. Even if relegation happens, we'll come back stronger like Birmingham. Well, as I said, we could go down to third division. I mean, we've been there enough in the last 25 years. We could go down to fourth division. We could go down to conference. There'll still be thousands of people wanting to watch and support that football club. Don't matter where they go. Don't matter where they go. If they were playing in Concord Park tomorrow, there'd be thousands turning up to watch. Paul, are you playing catch up for me? Maybe Wednesday till I have faces for radio. Like I said, I think it's just the way set, because when their show used to be released, that used to be a day in a week, and I used to listen to it while I was in Bath. I used to put it on shampoo shelf, and listen to it as a radio show. And once you get in habits, it's hard to get out of a minute. And I'm very sort of habit driven. I think I'm a bit of a special, I'll be honest with you. In fact, I said this to one of the lads that were over there. If I were at school now, I'd have a lanyard. No danger. No danger. The Hancock radio shows are brilliant. I'm glad somebody agrees with me. Everyone else in chat, if you want, go and find them. Hancock's Half Hour or Tony Hancock radio show, they're brilliant. And as I said, my favourite ones is the Pilot one, the Pie Shop, the Pie Stall, sorry. And the Train Strike. The Train Strike is absolutely, and that's one of them. Unique imagination. Brilliant. That Galton and Simpson, Hancock, did they do something writing for that? Absolutely fantastic. Willow B, I listen to all the recordings of Steve Wright shows on BBC Radio 2. I love radio. I actually wanted to be on radio when I was a kid. I got 2 dreams. Well, 3. Play for Wednesday, never going to happen. Host Family Fortunes. I've still not given up the ghost. And 3, have a radio show. Yeah. Good looking lad is James, Wednesday till I die. I do speak to James. He's a smashing bloke. In fact, we all get on. It's quite nice, actually. A lot of support, because it would be easy doing this sort of thing for there to be a bit of sort of needle and what are they doing and what are they doing. But it's actually really supportive. In fact, I've had that many messages this week. Jake been messaging me. Fudge messaged me earlier in the week. It's been really good. Everyone's really supportive, and like I said, you'd think it's the way. It's not like Coronation Street against EastEnders, battled. It's positive. Glenn Peacock, is John Rhodes available and on a free? Glenn, not winding me up now, because I am one of the ones who didn't want him to start with. Even at that time, I was like, this is a lunacy signing. He will never fit in with the way Carlos were playing. So defensive at that time. 4-4-2, keep it to... Look at Ross Wallace first season. Look at Ross Wallace second season. First season, he's banging crosses in, he's getting inside, he's hitting 30, 40 bloody yards. And he's still nicking odd one second season, but he's spending half of his time tucked in off that right side, really compact. And Jordan Rhodes were never gonna prosper in that. Well woke, aren't you? Publicly, yes. I think you're after me. That's the one. Fred's Pie Stall, absolutely brilliant. And how old's that? Fred's Pie Stall. That episode's got to be 50, maybe 60 years old. maybe 65-year-old that episode. I don't know. Brilliant, and it's still relevant today. Still relevant today about the hipsterisation. Absolutely brilliant. Go and listen to them. I'm going to keep asking a lot of you. Go and listen to them. Plus, when you listen to radio, it brings you down a little. It does. It calms you down. You sat here watching me ranting. It's probably not doing you any good at all at this time of night. But when you've got radio on, it just brings you down, and you know. If a shining light comes out of the under-21s, do you think Chansiri will try and sell a potential gem? Absolutely. He's selling the family jewels at the minute. And if he'd been doing this from the beginning, nobody would have really had a problem. I don't like mentioning them too much. I know Brian's in the chat tonight, but they've done that for years. Years. Get a kid in from under-21s, get him in first team. 10 games, and they're looking, can we get $1 million, $2 million for this kid? They've done that for years on end, and that we invested into the academy. Whereas we've eventually started doing that, and it's to pay wages of staff. It's kill them all, basically. Be great if we beat them with kids, but not much chance. I genuinely had not thought about that fixture. Like I said, we're chatting about everything else, all the mess around club, and then somebody just said it. Well, we've got them to play twice with kids. I know. Jeez, I forgot all about it. And then one of the lads was saying over there at work, he went, yeah, but it won't count, will it? He went, if they battered us, he went, it wouldn't really count if we got kids in. And I said, do you think United fans will take that into account? No. They're still calling that 4-2 at Hillsborough the Bouncing Day Massacre. I mean, I've never known a massacre that's only a 2-goal lead before, but they do have a tendency for changing the rules, Andy Barrett, evening Andy. That's the game to get abandoned away at the Bunts. Yeah. Oh, that'd be carnage, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? Players go on strike. Start the game, go goal down, then go on strike. Yeah. To check out if the world is right, check him out on top of the pub, see which hand he's holding his microphone in. Correct, diamond lights. That's a good idea. Because if Chris Waddle's left-footed and left-handed, then there should be no excuse for them penalties. Brian Cassidy, you've got no choice, Jim. We're waiting for your kids to visit. But as Andy just said, that is the game to get abandoned, Brian. Maybe that's what we'll do. Mind you, I'll tell you what, they were. Do you remember we went down there with Joshua Hulkai? One of his first games, weren't it? Was it even his first game? We got 17 players out injured, haven't we? But that Chuck Dawson in goal, and then Leuven's got sent off after about half an hour. Then Dawson saved a penalty. 17 injuries. Rookie keeper in net. Your captain and centre half sent off. You concede a penalty. Your youth keeper saves penalty. You get a 0-0. We were celebrating that, And folks were trying to get a rise out of me. Celebrating a 0-0. I went, yeah. We'd never celebrate a 0-0. Well, that's up to you, but I am. Beat your Steel City Cup to the 25-year ago pre-season. Anyway. Do you think England will knock off 3-7-4 tomorrow, Jim? If we can get a good start again. Duckett, he's worth some. Crawley, he's not. When I get over there, but it's 664 to get over there. He's been a bit of a miss for me, to be honest with you. 3-7-4, yeah, I think we can. What's weather forecast for tomorrow, by the way? So the chef been drinking all day and puffing on those Jamaican woodbines. I can tell there's only me probably keeping you out of court. Does the duck waddle to the left or the right? You'll honestly set a piss of it. This is my bright idea to do a live stream on a Saturday night when you've all been on piss. Oh God, all my comments are getting out of add a sequence here. If they got in the away end with the fans to send the message of winning it together, that would be super. Yeah, that's what going back to this Leicester game. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Run over to away end, clapping fans, sit down, or even, like I say, jumping crowd. Then huddled the stage. I didn't mind that song, actually. He's so selfless because it's another guaranteed relegation for his CV. Okay. I can wait. I'm an insomniac. I can wait. Would you incur a big fine at walk off for sitting at Leicester? As I understand it, it happened with Bolton. Their situation was slightly different because when they stopped fulfilling fixtures, was it the last 7 fixtures of season 8, something like that? That was slightly different because it was all of them. There was a case before, though, I think it was 97, when we were Ravanelli and all them playing for Middlesbrough. They'd got a game. They had a really bad flu bug in camp. And they went to a game and they didn't turn up. You know, they tried to can it be rearranged? FA said, no, play it fixture. We've sold out to telly money and blah, blah, blah. They tried to get out of it. And they didn't tip up. And I think theirs just went down as I think they got a fine and a 3-0 forfeit, which, depending on first few results at season go, a 3-0 forfeit for selective games might not be bad, you know. I'd applaud them too. I would. Absolutely would have. The Brighouse and Rastrick Brass Band. Oh, I think Paul's watching slightly behind. My mate wouldn't brass band. No, it weren't one of them. It were. I'll tell you what it were. What won it film? I'm sure he wouldn't band that won in brass stuff. It were based on them. I'm sure it were them. Gary Fox, it's great that Baz is staying, but do you think it could be a covert play by Chancellor to help protest? Somebody said that earlier on. I think it was Foxy said that earlier on, Gary, and I don't think it'll work. I think any positivity out of Barry Bannan staying will be aimed squarely at Barry Bannan. I don't think the club will get any kudos for managing to keep hold of their captain. I really don't. No. Glenn, gutted about Danny and Pato leaving. Yeah, I mean, the longest dragging on saga for a long time, Danny. Everybody knew we were going. Everybody knew we were going at, sort of Christmas time, January, just after. And it dragged on. And then there were 1 or 2 positive comments, and you thought, can they mend this relationship? Which clearly they couldn't. And it's a terrible shame because, as I said, with the 4th lowest wage budget in the division, he'd got us fighting last season. And it would have been interesting, actually, to see if Henrik could have carried that on himself, that getting people punching above the weight sort of thing. But we've lost that much quality now. Kusama, Masaba, Smith, Pato, Windass, they're huge blows then. They are huge blows. And those players leaving is why I think it makes it all the more remarkable that Barry Bannan's chosen to stay about. Matt Potter, evening Matt. Looks more like a tuba or a euphonium rather than a bassoon. Yeah, I'm not very... Grimethorpe Colliery Band, that's it. It was grimy. That's what I should have remembered that because he always said it. Are you coming out for the part? I can't. I'm practicing with Grimy tonight. Yeah, that's who he played for. He was, they don't call them drummers, do they? Percussion. He was percussion for Grimethorpe. That's right, yeah. Brian Cassidy, as I said, Brandon Blade is not really my favourite person, partly due to having the same name as me, and mainly because he talks a lot of shite. I don't mind Brandon Blade. It makes me laugh because usually, although I've not heard him for quite a long while, but usually when I'm coming home, I've got Football Heaven on it card, and I quite like Brandon Blade. Bit of a wind-up merchant, you know. And always 4-4-2. Didn't matter what it were. Whatever club. That Chesterfield manager, what he needs to do, 4-4-2. Best thing Wednesday could do, 4-4-2. That's mark my words. That's his other one, isn't it? But yeah, Grime Soap. Definitely. It were, yeah. Like working for Capone. Well. That is probably the best point you've made so far. That's how they got him in it. Al Capone. All them murders, prostitution, booze running, drug running, and then what did they get him on? Fiddling his tax. Classic example. Let's put Amber's agreeing here with Paul Cook now, so allegedly they aren't what they used to be. What else can they be? Have they lost a triangle player? Barry Taunton might be a tuber. Do you know what? I'm going to have a bloody look here now. Where's Glenn? Let me get his image on. I'm going to have to Google a tuber. Tuber. Do you know what? I think it is. I think you're right there, Paul. I think you're right, buddy. I think it is a tuber. I've just had a look. That's a good shout. But now Brian says it is a euphonium. Let me Google one of them. Euphonium. I've only put 3 letters in. Top search. Euphonium versus tuber. Well, bloody same to me. Oh, I couldn't tell you a difference. They look same to me. One's a bit bigger. Oh, no. Let's get back. Ray, why do you think youth team would be bad? What did Man United? I think people always say about, with youth players. Alan Hansen said Man United would win out with youth, and look what they did. There's a little bit of something people always forget when they talk about that Man United side. They started easing in from 1992. Odd appearance in League Cup. Following season, 2 league games here, an FA Cup game there, and that were Neville, Scholes, Becker, all them eased in. And I think in our collective memory, we've all just got it in our heads that opening day against Wimbledon, when Beckham smashes it in from 45, 50 yards, that they all just got chucked in that season and away they went and won league. They'd been eased in 1 or 2 games in the 2 or 3 years previous to that. The other thing is, they weren't all chucked in, all 11 of them, and away you go, a load of 17-year-old kids. The 19, 20, 21. Beckham had a long spell out at Preston North End. People always forget about that. In fact, Wednesday tried to sign him. David Pleat tried to sign him permanently while he was having his long spell at Preston. I don't know how I remember this shit. But yeah, there's a bit of a myth that all them kids got chucked in at Man U and then they went and won the league and made Alan Hansen look like a dick. But they'd been getting games here and there 2 seasons previous to that. And it weren't the entire 11. Gary Neville's coming into that back forward, and who's in there with? Dennis Irwin. How many caps for Ireland? Steve Bruce. Do you know what I mean? Midfield. Scholes is coming in there, and who's he got in there with him? Roy Keane. Ince before he went to Inter Milan. quality players in there as well. They weren't just getting all chucked in. There were quality players in there, you know. And it's about that blend and having enough experience in there to bring him on. And that's why we're saying it's so important that Barry Bannan stayed. Yes, we're still on about euphoniums. You see, these chats, they always go off like this, don't they? Kilmore Batesy, sorry, Paul, just being honest. Probably my downfall. Always speak what I think. Like I said, just... And same when you go online, I don't know if any of you are a member of Wednesday Facebook forums or all like that, or if you're on Twitter, be careful because he does have it monitored. I know that for 100% fact, he has it monitored. Be careful saying things like fraud, yet libelous, defamation, libel and slander, that's it. We're on about this earlier, Paul, I couldn't remember it too, libel and slander. Yeah, he 100% has social media checked. I know that for a fact. Big out of Granthorpe, it was Granthorpe Kev. EFL had a joke. They are and they aren't. Could they do more? But I think they could do more in terms of they could say, right, we're going to investigate this. We've got money coming in. We're going to send investigators out. Like I said, that we die young. That's some professor who from, like I said, I forget where, Liverpool, wherever, Manchester. He's gone and done that for his own back. But the EFL should be doing that. But they're not. And then in terms of punishment, they stuck with the regulations. And the regulations are signed off by the football club owners in the EFL. So the regulations aren't fantastic. There's stuff in there that would have to be in there, like you're not allowed to be involved in the club if you are a known criminal or whatever. So their hands are tied. But on the other hand, there is stuff they could be doing and digging themselves. I think they can do a little bit more. Frank Esday, Chunaman's family have turned off the money tap. I mean, that's something we still don't know where his money comes from. I suspect if it was coming from a family, his father told him long ago. Ashley Green, the Wednesday as we know it may die, but Wednesday never. Yeah, Wednesday will always be here. Wednesday will always be here. The Blood Donor, one of the best idiot. I've not heard the radio one of that, but the TV one, when I was a kid, that was my favourite one. Because they started re-showing them all when I was about 12 or 13, and obviously I'd never seen them before. I loved them. But then radio shows, you must listen to the radio shows. Massive fine if Sky had upset. Just add them to list of fines, you know. It was Galton and Simpson. I thought they were something doing it. Fantastic. Paul Cook, speaking of radio, RIP to Jerry Kersey, famous voice in South Yorkshire that passed last week. Yes. A voice from my childhood there. So I've always been a bit of an insomniac, and radio was always massive for me. I listened to a hell of a lot of radio. Just relax. Exactly. And relax by listening to Hancock's Half Hour. And Kenneth Williams, them cameos in there are absolutely gold. Let's get some more comments in. Gutting what's happening in the club. Did you see when I scored his first for Wrexham today? Oh, I've been working. So he scored for Wrexham today, has he? Would they play? Yeah, good signing for them. Yeah. Do you think England will finish the job in a cricket? I do. I know they've made a lot of changes. Obviously got one eye on Ashes coming up. Stokes does look like he's been struggling physically this year, and it's funny because commentators on radio and telly, he's really worked on his fitness. He looks good in this, but kept putting him into bowl, and you could see he was struggling with his leg. And I'm like, just let somebody else do a bit. You know, it's not. It's lovely to win, But think about the long term, man. I want to win Ashes, don't I? But yeah, I think we'll see this series out with a win, yeah. Fred's Pie Stall, brilliant episode. Everyone go and find it. 1959, before even I was born. So what's that? 69, 79, 89, 99, 2009, 2019. You know, all right. I said 60 odd years, didn't I? You know. We did that with a solar gym. That sounds like it's a bit of a script that Bones would have said in Star Trek back in the day. We did that with a solar gym. Fucking good me, then us. Ah, yes. So Matthew, this is my radio gym. And I do sometimes, it seems a bit odd to me. I don't really like radio, so I'm not sure exactly why I started up a video channel. I should have maybe done a podcast. I might be more suited to that. Although I do use my hands a lot. And I have got used to sticking my little pictures in. But yeah, I do love radio. That's one thing we can never give them any credit for. They are superb with their academy. They are. They are. Kit Slew, who went to Blackburn. I mean, but he come in, handful of games, off to Blackburn for $1.5 million. They've done that time and again. They were there. Who the fullback who ended up at Villa? Maybe that was about 10 years ago. Another $1.5 million, $2 million. They've done it time and again, and we should do that. You know what I mean? But I'm left-footed and right-handed, pretty good at penalties. Don't start that game, man. We had Steve in the chat last time I did one of it. He was saying the same thing. Jim, I'm a right-footed. I'm a right-handed left-footer. Back of the queue, boys. Back of the queue. Mentality and confidence. No. Not with your weird balance with your right arm left. No. Back of the queue, lads. Done my research. Waddle is right-handed. And there we go. I should end the show right there. I bought the DVD of the complete existing Hancock Half Hour on Monday, 13 quid. I'll look for that. Like I said, I would only ever aware of the TV show, and then when I've heard them radio shows, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Amazing. Jake's in, our resident Oxford fan. All right, Jim, just come back from a wedding and I'm pissed. Well, join the club, because nearly everybody in the chat tonight has been pissed, Jake, and half of these comments I've been having to decipher them in my head as I'm reading. Gally, I think we may have to transfer the private eye fund over to the Bates Defence Case Fund. Yeah, old Kill 'em all Bates here has been at it, you know. He'd been chucking the F word around like confetti, hasn't he? Jesus Christ. What a night it's been. My God, the comments, they confess. I'm still getting through. I can't get through all of them enough. There's so many. We're still at a wage cut, so Bannan's taking a wage cut or something is happening we don't know about. Correct. 100%. This is answer to a question somebody had just put. Bolton called off their home way to Donny Rovers without telling Donny out of the EFL due to player welfare concern. They got a 5-point deduction and suspended for 12 months. That's right. Bannan won't get a signing on fee though, will he? No, and I doubt he will. That's why I said financially, from his point of view, his agent must be absolutely pulling his hair out that he's not, took the coin and gone to Middlesbrough and Millwall and GE, how are we doing? We're doing all right, G. P Wednesday, how would it? You lot's all been, you've just gone in for booze, haven't you? You're half of you that's been here's already been pissed, supping cans in house. And the rest of you, you've all just suddenly tipped up. You've all been out on piss. But it's fucking too late now. You've missed show. I'm going to have a brew and a fag. If you've missed it, you're going to have to watch it on playback. It's a trumpet. It's not a fucking trumpet. Behave, listen. Evening, top lad. Up the hell, fuck the narcissist. Honestly, you've all been in Boozer. All of you have been in Boozer. I started this tonight and I thought, oh, doing well here, 4 viewers. And it just got busier and busier. You know, everyone's comments slightly, like 10 minutes beyond what I'm saying. And now suddenly you've all tipped up. 5 here. 5 here didn't last 10 minutes. All tipped up from Boozer. Nah, then. G. Man United were once hated because people didn't like the fact the league was becoming too predictable. I think one of the reasons people hated Man United was also Ferguson's character, weren't it? Because he was a miserable, aggressive, dour. I think that was one of the reasons that they were so... yeah. It were, but not as boring as it is now. I mean, the Premier League now, I hate this phrase. When they talk about it being a great product, fuck off, I hate product. It's a game. But they talk about it being a great product, and you can see individual really good games within it. But as a league, I find it quite dull. You know, bottom 3 or 4 is going to be scrapping it out. You know what top 3 or 4 is going to be. It's, Alan Hansen didn't need the kids to make him look a dick, Jim. Bit harsh, though. I didn't think he was too bad, Hansen, as a pundit. I didn't think it bad. And a good player and all, weren't he? Good player, Alan Hansen. Good centre half, weren't he? Abba from Aberdeen. You're all piss artists. I love Abba, by the way. Hate. I've said it. What are you supping? The AFL have investigated and know the sources of Chancelli's funds. They're choosing not to share what they find out. The trust said that. Yeah, that's the source of his funds, but I'm on about investigating other things he's done with his other businesses. I heard, God, you have got to be careful. I heard there's a construction firm that might have been getting in a bit of trouble in relation to some work that was supposed to be getting done for some hospitals. I'll not say any more than that, but I would really love it if somebody dug into that. He'll be listening in on you when you walk in the ground, lads, with his new camera, so don't slag him off there either. Well, Arnie will, but he's probably watching this now. I do actually. It makes me laugh because I get analytics from YouTube, and it tells me how many people's watch videos and this or other, and it tells me where people are from. And I have got a viewer in Thailand. Now, it's probably an expat Wednesday fan living out there, living the dream. But sometimes I think to myself, is it him? I do wonder if it is him. KO's applauding Jerry Kersey. He had a very, very popular on the local scene with the radio. Round the horn, very funny. Yeah, Julian and Sandy, Polari. Even I can twig a lot of that, and I do wonder how they got away with it at the time. Michael, yes, I did ask him where Wrexham were playing. They played in the Netherlands against Groningen. Is it Groningen or Groningen? Lost 3-1, win after the class goal though for Wrexham. He will do. Terrific signing for them. Did they sign Christian Eriksen? Somebody told me at work over there. I was just walking past. Oh, Wrexham's after the Eriksen. I went, Gio. But yeah, they're not messing about, are they? P. Wednesday, if we say our owner regarding libel, we could mean our owner beyond the stars. The one eye in the sky. Oh, the big man. Yes. Our owner. Windass will never score more than 16. Well, if you got 15, that's not bad. Laurel and Hardy were way before this. And yeah, I saw a Laurel and Hardy one other day. That popped up. I'd not seen it before. It would they were in hospital. They were painters and decorators. Fucking brilliant. Absolute brilliant. I reckon first game Bannan rallies a team to kick the ball from kick-off and walk off the pitch. Hopefully. I would love to see it. I would really love to see it. So many famous TV shows sell on radio. Remember the Hitchhiker's Guide? Yes, that was radio first. So long and thanks for all the fish. Yeah, a lot of great radio shows. I love radio, and podcasts essentially are an extension of that now, aren't they? Which is funny because 20 odd years ago, I love radio, and I kept hearing, radio's dying, TV's killing radio, this and other. And when this internet takes off, that'll be death knell for radio. But podcasts have that's modern radio, isn't it? It's sort of had a bit of a comeback. Ray, I'm pissed, but been good. Is that why you've all been buzzing? Because Barry Bannan signed his new contract. The Henrik Babes might be better on set pieces. Surely we can't be worse than last season. We were bad, weren't we, last season with set pieces? I thought we looked better when Hekwe came in, both defending them and attacking them. We still didn't score many from set pieces, but suddenly got somebody in their box who'll get his head on stuff, but you're defending them. Very poor, very poor. Dean, hello Jim. Is that Dean from Ireland? Are you that Dean? Ray, been to a party tonight, got pissed, but you made me laugh. So you've been to a party. Jake's been to a wedding. Rest of you've just been out on piss. Unbelievable. I've heard about the hospital construction thing as well, Paul. Yeah, that's what, like I said, the only way I think we'll get him out is if they can find something on him that's not Wednesday related. Something from something else. And something like that. Like I said, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is they find or what area of his life it is. But if it's something that we can use, it's got to be done. Nigel's on the Brewdog Black Heart Stout, going down well. All piss artists, all lot here. All lot here. Ray, I've not put Oxford to go down. We've got to be favourites, haven't we? Bucky's still taking odds. Are they still taking odds? Brian, Jonah Man is Stoking, only subscriber from Thailand. It is. I've got one subscriber from Thailand, and it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder. Jake, the wedding was at this right posh place, £7 for a pint of Guinness. Fucking hell. For a can. £7 for the. It's probably when you go to a wedding. Captive audience, aren't you? Captive audience. Unless my mate Gaz Davis has turned up with his portable off licence in a car boot. Let me get through it. Suddenly comments are all flying in now. Now you're all bladdered. Mother Ralph is looking up the CE Roma. They were interested. Didn't have legs for the championship. No. And then Paul just mentioned it as well. Wrexham have apparently offered Ericsson 45 grand a week. No. 45 grand a week, he might have been able to afford some of that Guinness that Jake's just been trying to get at that wedding. Jesus Christ on a bike. £7 for a can of Guinness. Raising shock, yeah. He's an absolute shock. Right, it's a joke. I love these live streams end up all over the fucking place, don't they? All over the place. Yes, Jim, that's me, pal. Well, it is the expert on Guinness, Dean, from over in the Emerald Isle. Well, poor old Jake has just paid £7 for a can of Guinness at a wedding. Amber, Wrexham have signed Connor Cody for £2 million. They're chucking it about, aren't they? Chucking it about. But they've got the investment, proper investment, sponsors that really exist, not pretend sponsors. Dear. Dear me. You can still get Better's going down. The best odds you can get 4-11. It is. It more or less is nailed on, isn't it? Nailed on. P Wednesday. It's just a beer speaking, so none of us can be liable. Over to the tinnies out. You lot, honestly, an absolute. It's like Madhouse in here, isn't it? It's like being in fucking Nuthouse. Fucking joke. Ray's still struggling to get over the cost of Jake's Guinness tonight. Gasama by the season. That's two sensible comments you've made now. Out of 30. He is by its season for Rangers. That absolutely. We've had his pants down, haven't we? We've absolutely had his pants down. Barry Taunton, I remember at Wickham away, a man bought a £7 pie and then dropped it. Oh, that's bad. For real gameplay, literally just got to the hotel from a wedding and saw the news about Baz. Brilliant stuff, Bannerman. Absolute legend. How many of you lot's been to weddings tonight? I need to move up north. Remember going Fleetwood away and it was £2 a pint. The Great North, yes. Yeah, the Great North. Although sometimes I think, I tell you what I quite fancy. I keep seeing pictures. I don't know why they always come up on feed. But it's algorithm, innit? I clicked like on a photograph somebody had took. It was some photographic competition, and I saw it and I thought, oh, that's a nice picture. And since then, I keep getting pictures of the Cotswolds on me feed. It's all very Miss Marple looking down there. I'm sure they've got scropes on local estate, and I'm sure they've got kebab houses, on flat roof 1960s shopping centres with cars and bricks and spray paint. And, I'm sure that happens everywhere. But that romanticism in Mackie, though, I'd like to live there. I'd like to live there. Blackpool's cheap, and I'm not kidding here. But we shouldn't slag off an entire town. Jim Hughes, careful what you say, Jim, with the new online safety bill. I'll have to show you a packet of words to verify your age. Oh, I've heard about this. Yes, this is the new wanking thing, isn't it? What were I reading that on? I think I was reading about that on a Wednesday forum. We are random, aren't we? Yes. Online. Something does need doing, though, because I do worry about young lads in this country. I think you read papers and there's some twisted fuckers out there, and I don't think that game helps. I don't think that helps them at all. So, yeah. Shall we play it from the back or go Route 1 crazy again? Ugbo, the new fash. We'll have to do something. Henrik's got... it'll be 8 days, won't it? Henrik's got 8 days to get these 15 pros and these kids into some semblance of a shape and a form and an idea what we're going to do. So whether it's 5 at back and just sit off, or whether it's just go and smash it, man. With whatever happens, I will say this, I'm encouraging them to strike against Leicester, the Stoke, or whatever it is, and I encourage everyone to join in with any of the trust protests and the plans and the whistles and whatever else is coming. But when they are actually playing games, when they're out there on the park at Hillsborough, we've got to back them. We've got to back them kids this year. There shouldn't be a single boo anywhere this year or the ground. We've got to back them kids. If I could afford it, says Paul, and I'd no ties, I'd be living in the north of Iceland. Brilliant. We're going to go to Iceland with OWLS because we never go away. And then COVID it, so that fucked me. And when things eased off, we had to have House Rewired instead, so that was that dream ruined. Matt Potter shouldn't slack for whole town unless it's Rotherham. Well, yes. Wasn't Winterbottom Wednesday captain back in a big plane in it? That sounds like a tongue twister again. It wasn't Winterbottom. Walter Winterbottom are we on about? Have I missed another comment here? Something? Walter Winterbottom, he was administrator at Football Association, weren't he, Walter Winterbottom? I know things were a bit different back in the day, but I was reading a book somewhere. The administrators would pick squad and team. They actually have a team manager. It's like directors at FA. We'll pick a squad, and then secretary, do you want to pick team? Yeah, I'll pick team. Amazing now when you look at staff now. I mean, did you see that interview with Pep and Warnock? And Pep had got something like 78 staff. I remember Warnock saying, when you're a football manager, it's not just about tactics, it's helping lads in other areas of their lives. They're having trouble with wife or kids at school. And Pep went, no, we have somebody to sort out every single part of it. Was it Aguero, somebody, who was it, that rent club because they didn't know how to change a light bulb? I might be being harsh on Aguero, but it was definitely one of that mob. Dean C, we have to believe Jim, sick to death of negativity from anti-Sheffield Wednesday heads. I just believe we're in the middle of a takeover. Don't drink but I can't handle the hangovers. I'm a bit like that now, and I used to love it. I used to live for it. Friday after work, Saturday is Saturday, obviously. Sunday, quiz. Monday night, quiz. Tuesday off. Wednesday, after football training. Thursday, I did do rugby training for a bit, used to go for a pint after that, and then you're back to Friday, And when I worked away, every night. But now, very rare I go out on Lash, meet some of my old mates now and again. I just can't, like you said, the hangovers. Walter Winterbottom played for Man U. Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't know he played. I knew he was an administrator of the game. Route 1, get back on the coach home. So did they all be getting back on the train. Or the mum's cat. Well, yeah, that's right. The coach. Have we even paid the coach driver? Somebody made a comment on one of my videos the other night. I can't remember it where. I think it might have been Matt. Was it you, Matt? That we didn't even know if bus driver had been paid. Big player on the pitch, Neville Southall. Brilliant goalkeeper, Neville Southall. I know he's massive now, he really is, isn't he? He does a lot of good work, doesn't he? Southall, he uses his Twitter to get people from different areas and use his platform and his audience to get their message out there. And he does a lot of work for charity and he work with the homeless as well. And but getting back to the point, brilliant goalkeeper, magnificent goalkeeper. Paul Cook, go to Iceland, it's great, you'll not regret it. Like I said, I'm still struggling. When was that rewire? 5 years ago, still struggling to get back. Barry, also been to Iceland last October, very expensive but very nice. And beer's even more than £7. Years ago, a lad that I knew, he went on an expedition. Well, it was an expedition, but he would do some work. It weren't Iceland, though. It was that place just beyond Denmark. Anyway, come back and I said, what was it like? And he said, it was that cold day and night. He said, there was no beer there. They couldn't have beer because it just froze. He said, so I've been doing something nothing but spirits for 6 months I've been there. I said, wow, now then. Skulsburg, somewhere. Freezing cold, anyway. If it's right, let one go. That's a good strategy. Oh, we're talking about football now, are we? If money wasn't an issue, I'd either live in a villa in Italy or to Canada, Vancouver way. Yeah, I know a few people who's moved out to Canada. At least it's got ice, Matt. Well, you'd hope it again has Ray. And have you been supping more? Your spelling's getting worse as this stream goes along. Did see Rio Shipson was over my way for a few months. Loved watching him in Turner's Cross with my two young fellas. Yes, he did have a loans, but something happened with that as well, didn't it? Did Wednesday suddenly start asking for more money or something? Grindavik has its own natural light show, Paul Cook. First, I only just tuned in. We'll catch the beginning tomorrow. Long live Bannan. Yeah, we're very positive about Barry Bannan today. We've all been buzzing in here. I'll just tell you this though. Everybody in here in the comments more or less is pissed. I think there's only about 2 or 3 of us that might be sober. And then everyone else has just got in from boozer and they're even more pissed than people who are already pissed who are here. A lot of pissed up people. And 1 or 2 on Jamaican Woodbines, by the way. Real weather up, bugger Canada. Bloody freezing there. I'm really amazed. I've got this idea because stereotype idea of Canada, there's some wilderness and it's all snow and then lots of people speaking French and I've seen some TV show set there and I'm like, oh God, look at these massive cities. You'd have never thought it, would you? It shows how you can stereotype things. Paul Cook, Birmingham did a photo recently with all their staff on the pitch. 448 staff on the football tonight. That's incredible, isn't it? Sheffield Wednesday community team anywhere? No, not for a long time. I must stick up for the community team because their funding is 50-50. So they've not been getting all the wages either, and they're still out doing work in the community and doing some really good stuff. They've actually got a YouTube channel. It's hardly got any followers because for some reason folks don't seem to be interested in that side of it. And I know football's about the football, but Wednesday's community team do some fantastic work. I must stick up for them there. Walter Winterbottom, manager before Alf Ramsey, correct. And there's a manager overseeing the most matches, 139. Wrexham, the new Man City, trying to buy their way to the top. Well, they might get away with it as well. Now, says Matt, I ain't commented about the players doing their own accommodation because we're all used to doing that. It's now gone. I'm wondering who did now. I was convinced it were you. No way. Oh, is that where you would live? No way. Paul Cook, go to Copenhagen if you want to pay for a lot for beer. Svalbard, that's it. Svalbard, that's where my mate went. They were doing something to do with ice samples and core being whatever it is. Yeah, and he said he just had to drink spirits for nearly 6 months up there. Yeah. I went to Iceland. Fucking price of fish fingers is scandalous. Brian, I like that. I like the simple jokes. They're the best one. I've worked in Wrexham, worse than Morecambe. I'll trump that. I've worked in Merthyr Tydfil. Nah. It's just a no. The ironically named Rum Punch Man, painfully sober here. Where have you been all night? I've just been watching. I'm like you two, a fellow insomniac. I know we all are, aren't we? Sober and don't smoke. Well, you can afford to be sober because you're not a Wednesday fan. This lot, they need to drink with what's going on down there. Drunk, stoned, not jabbed up. Ah, that's all right, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, isn't it? Canada has proper seasons. Really enjoyed living in Ottawa. Friendly folk. Let's watch the in lockdown. When box set. We watched a Canadian comedy, and it wasn't hilarious, but it was gentle. Sometimes it's nice, like we were talking about radio earlier. Sometimes it's nice to just have something gentle. It don't have to be hard-hitting humour, does it? And it was about it's like a bloke who owned a garage and shop on a highway somewhere in Canada. Can't remember the name of it. Very gentle and light-hearted. P Wednesday. I'm 50% English, 28% Scandinavian, 13% Spanish, and the rest Eastern European. And I hate the cold. My heritage. We did them things, and my dad was something like 99.9% British. He's like, I think he goes back to the Picts. Do you know what I mean? Matt, I do have to expect sometimes to go around and find, he dyed his face with the woad. Dean C. Viv Anderson's son is playing with my home team now in Cork City at the moment. Big lad, only 18. Met Viv a few weeks back and was starstruck. I would be too, Dean. I love Big Viv Anderson. One of my favourite ever players. KO agrees. Love Big Viv Anderson. Everybody loves Viv Anderson. Fantastic. And he only played centre half when he come to us. Been a right back for Forest, right back for England, right back for Arsenal, right back for Man United. I think I'm right in saying he came here as cover when Nielsen got injured, but of course John Arks ended up playing right back instead. And then Viv come in, didn't he? When Shirtley for Pearson were injured, and I'll have got centre half, and he was fucking brilliant, weren't he? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. But it Gary Stephen or Trevor Stephen, which one went right back? One were a winger, one were a fullback, but they both played it right. But anyway, one of them had come through. Viv sort of got squeezed out a bit, didn't he? And then was it Phil Neal? Anyway, so Viv weren't getting the caps for England at right back anymore. And I've often thought to myself, if he'd converted to a centre half earlier, when he was 27, 28, how many more caps would he have got? Great player, Viv. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Big Viv Anderson. Rumpage meant been lurking. Well, you do right. You do right. Brian. Drunken smoke, just the normal stuff. Get your lot, honestly. Paul Cook, I'll see you on Merthyr and raise you Puway. Deepest, darkest Wales, very great. I once went on holiday to Puway, and I didn't mind it. Mind you, I was only about 13. It all began in Ottawa. Honk, 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 honk. You lot, honestly. Corner Gas, that's right. That was the Canadian TV show. Very low-key, gentle humour. And now and again you need that. You do need that. Ottug Bayo is from Cork in Ireland as well. Big season for him. Huge season coming up. He's still got a lot of mistakes. He didn't do it a bit last season, made me laugh. He came on where team were attacking. Player come in, and he was like that. Ottug Bayo come, good position. Their lad turned round and he was going to knock it back into midfield, but there were nobody there, so we ended up going round in an arc like that. Now in that position, Ottug Bayo was done his job. Seen him off. He starts fucking off. Stay here. You've done your job. Wait till. And then he chased him round it like a Benny Hill sketch. A massive gap. Heck, where we're going. Well, where the fuck are you going? Big season. Big season ahead for him. I will show my age. Viv Anderson before my time. He can't have been. because nobody's been called Barry, Chris and Barry in the last 10 years. Pretending you're younger than you are. I'm not having it. Trevor Francis crosses with butter. Trevor Francis, one of the best crosses at ball I've ever seen in my life. Unbelievable cross at ball. The original Darren Moore. Oh, Big Viv. Marwood, great play. Indeed he was. Ray Weatherill in Philippines. It's called Lechon. Oh, you are on about booze, aren't you? Big Viv not doing the training moves in Hyde Park before the Rumbelows Cup final made me laugh. I watched that, the Will to Win and the League Cup Glory. Brilliant videos. For my sister still got them, all on VHS. Good night, Dean. Thanks for watching. Have enjoyed the rest of your weekend, pal. That's it, League Cup Glory. TV Live Cup, looking through a Rumbelows window. Honestly, this is like being on a bad episode at Comedians. I'm mid-20s, believe me. I'm a miserable man deep down. There's nobody in the 20s called Barry anymore. I refuse to believe it. Right, anyway, been going 2 hours 26, so we're going to have to call it a day there. YouTube will be having a meltdown when it tries to, what's the phrase they use? Buffer? What do they call it? It does something to them anyway, and yeah, it goes mad when you do them too long, and 2.5 hours, I'm probably really pushing it. Was there a good episode of the community? Yes, when Ken Goodwin was on. I love Ken Goodwin. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, Ken Goodwin. Who started laughing at jokes halfway through telling them, which would usually ruin it for you, wouldn't it? When I needed it, it was funny. I'm off, Jim, but a suggestion for your live streams to perhaps go live on match day night. I could do that. I could, mind you, I'm usually doing my match review and I'm so bad at editing, it takes me about 4 hours. That's why usually my Saturday match review, but I think people think I do them on Sunday morning. I don't. I start them more or less as soon as the game's finished. And then I'm about 12 hours before they're online. Do you remember Larry May was great on the Panini stickers? He was better on Panini stickers than he were on pitch. Maybe I'm being cruel. Good night. Supported your channel for day one. Keep doing what you're doing. One of the good guys. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that very much. Brian, time for me to get some old man sleep. Great as usual, mate. Take care, Brian. Ergle McGurgle, laters. Amber, great. Thanks for the entertainment. It has been good. Thanks, Baldy. Baldy Blue. Nah, then. I'll keep popping in. Have a good one, Jim. Take care, Jake. Great show, Chef Kim. Stop making me laugh. It's not me making you laugh. It's probably that stuff you're smoking. Night, mate. Sleep well. Good night, everybody. Take care. And enjoy your weekend. What's left of it.